Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest news and updates going on right here in our city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, along with my co-host, your City Manager, Mark Roloff. So Mark, welcome.
Great to be here, Emily.
Great to have you. And we got another full show today. We're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of today's show. And like I said, then we'll take a little break and return with a review of the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, January 24th, 2017. So Mark, first thing that we want to discuss here in the first half of our show is a little bit of a recap of an event that took place a week or two ago, and that was Oshkosh Outlook. You were one of the main speakers at this presentation, and maybe you can give us a little bit of a recap of what was discussed and what some of the takeaways were.
Yeah, Oshkosh Outlook, this version was 2017, is an opportunity for all of the governmental entities in the area to just give a little preview of things that are on the horizon for 2017. It's a little bit of an educational campaign to get people to understand the interrelationships between the city and the different governmental entities and how we're affected by state government as well.
Okay, great. And a lot is discussed at this meeting. This is a big meeting. There's a lot of different speakers. You were one of the speakers. What were some of the main points that you went over in your presentation?
Well, I don't want to bump people out, but a lot of it had to do with relationships between state and local government and in terms of financing and things like that. So some of the things I talked about were the loss of local control that's happening at the state to municipalities, loss of state revenue. One of the examples we pointed out was a program it's called Payment for Municipal Services. It's a program that reimburses the city for police and fire costs for all of the tax-exempt properties owned by the state. And we used to get reimbursed a long time ago. We got $1 for every dollar we spent. It was in the 80-cent range about 10 years ago, and now we're getting about 38 cents on the dollar. So it's issues like that. Another one has to do with how property assessments have been changed that are really shifting the property tax burden to residential taxpayers. A lot of the increase, while we have had a pretty sizable increase in our levy, there's also been a shift that residential properties are paying a larger share of the property tax bill than, say, commercial and industrial. And those are things that have been done by the state and some lawsuits that have taken place that the Supreme Court has ruled against cities. Mm-hmm. So these are problems that exist throughout the state. And then the latest one is to eliminate the personal property tax, which is primarily a tax on businesses. I certainly have concerns with the personal property tax from an administrative standpoint, but the state is not proposing to backfill that revenue with anything else. So they're essentially going to cut another 4% off of our property taxes, which means that's going to get redistributed to somebody else. That's a potential loss of $1.5 million, so the equivalent of 15 police officers. And it's that level of interference that the state is having with our budgets that's really causing an issue. And we felt it was appropriate to talk about those types of issues with the Oshkosh community so they understand it a little better.
Mm-hmm. And what you've kind of gone over here is a perfect example of when we talk about on the show when changes that happen up at the state level kind of trickle down to the local level, and it's something that we're always trying to educate the public about and show them that this is why the changes are happening, especially with our budget.
Yeah, and I understand that people can't be following this like I do. Mm-hmm. I do this on a full-time basis, but every opportunity we have to educate the public about things that are going on, I think it's important. I appreciate Citizens for Strong Oshkosh giving us the opportunity to bring all of our governmental entities together. Now, with that said, we talked about a lot of really cool things that we're collaborating on. The aviation business park that we work on with the county, the collaboration that we do with the schools, mm-hmm. Joint strategic planning that we've been doing, the collaboration we do with the university, the technical college. We do a lot of really cool things. So we make a point of showing that we're trying to stretch people's tax dollars by doing these collaborative things, because they do save the taxpayers money in the long run, and we're really proud of that as well.
Definitely. And so the main outcome that you're looking for from, putting this information out there is making people aware, educating the public so they can contact their representatives, really.
Absolutely. When they do contact their representatives, we want them to be aware of those things, and they can share with the representatives that they understand how it impacts their local government's budget, and share that with their state reps.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the recap of Oshkosh Outlook. That is replaying now right on GovTV, and Oshkosh Media's website, oshkoshmedia.org, or you can check out our YouTube channel. It's on there as well on demand. I highly encourage people to check it out. A lot of great information looking into 2017. Something that is kind of from 2016, I would say, is the rental inspections. And it's been a couple episodes since we've mentioned it, so it seems like it's time. And there is an item on the agenda dealing with this, but we're going to go ahead and get a little bit deeper into it in the first half. And that's just kind of an update on what's going on with this lawsuit situation that people have been hearing about.
Well, originally this was a claim that the council had not acted on. We were still reviewing all our different options, but the local group has in fact filed a lawsuit against the city, making some claims that I don't think have any standing in terms of, in fact, we haven't even implemented the program yet, and they're accusing us of violating constitutional rights, which I think is just ridiculous. And I also think that they're putting words in the mouths of a lot of tenants who have contacted us about grave concerns they have about their landlords, and they're fearful of retribution from landlords. So that is not about every landlord, and I don't mean to make it sound like that, but it is a deep concern that we have, and we're trying to follow the state law. And so our issue is health and safety for residents, and that's why we have this. The issue of constitutional rights, our program specifically provides that we get the permission of the tenant before they enter. The state law required it, and we're doing that exactly as it's appropriate, constitutionally speaking, but also it's just good common courtesy to do it to people. So I just really reject the claim that we're doing these nefarious things. What we're trying to do is protect public health and safety, and the council's pretty set on doing this, so we're going to move forward. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from residents, residential folks, owner-occupants, who say we want to make sure our neighborhoods stay safe and secure, preserve our property values, and keep going, because we know that the city needs to enforce these codes so that their property values are protected. So we're getting a lot of support from single-family property owners.
Definitely. It's kind of coming back around. People are starting to understand what the program is for, like you said, for public health and safety. And so it's on the agenda, like I said, recommending that council disallow this claim. What are the next steps now from this point forward?
We're making some minor changes to the ordinance as we looked at the possibility of a lawsuit. We wanted to make sure that we have it as tight as possible. Really things to clarify intent so that nobody misunderstands us. We want to make sure people understand it. It will likely go to court. I suspect they'll try to make some legal maneuvers, but we're going to proceed forward. Additionally, I'm also concerned that things might get changed at the state level, and so I'm going to keep in contact with our state representatives and let them know what we're doing and get them to understand why we're doing certain things. We're getting feedback that we don't have to do this citywide. We never wanted to do it citywide, but the way the statute was rewritten with lobbying from a lot of landlord associations, that we felt we had to do this in order to comply with the law. If we don't have to do those things, I'm more than happy to not have to inspect every rental property in the city.
So there is some potential for some adjustments that might take place.
I'm always hoping that we can do that type of thing, yeah.
Wonderful. So we went through the main points again. If you want more information on this program, there's a lot of information on the city website at ci.oshkosh.wi.us. I encourage you to follow the Oshkosh Community Development Department on Facebook as well. They are always posting updates, news articles, different things that are really helpful in understanding how the program works. Next thing that we want to mention, and I can't believe we're talking about it already, Mark, is State of the City. We have a date, Monday, March 20th, and we are in the midst of all of our preparation. I think a lot of people don't realize how far in advance we start preparing for this event.
We do. We know this, but now we want people to give us input on things that are going on. So Monday, March 20th at 6 p.m. at the Convention Center. It will include all the things we've traditionally done in recent years, with meeting with department heads, hearing about new programs, recognizing people for their contributions to the community. But we're trying to get input from people about what do you want to see and what concerns do you have in the community? What would you like to see for the future? So we're hitting the road.
We are hitting the road. Yes, like you said, a portion of the State of the City is for, meeting with different departments and things like that. A very large portion of the program is your presentation, which we're hitting the road for. We're getting out there, trying to meet with as many different groups, clubs, organizations, different meetings, things that go on throughout the community. And you're kind of I'm calling it the Mark's State of the City tour. You're getting out.
And we're really hoping to get people who are interested in telling us about things going on in the city and what they want us to look for. And those are what we end up developing the theme around. It's those comments that we get. So I don't even know what the program's going to be at this point, neither do you, but a light bulb will come on based on those interviews that we get with people, and it really is effective for us. And we see something and go, that's what we really need to focus on. Residents really want to know more about those things. So give us your input, and if you're interested, just contact Emily and let us know, and we'll be happy to.
Yes. So at these meetings, we're also trying to grab people and get some little video tidbits, because that's what we do here at Oshkosh Media. We're helping you out with some of the video portions of your presentation. If you have an idea of anything that can be discussed at the State of the City, of course we want to hear that. So give me a call, give me an email, let me know if you'd like to talk on the phone, talk in person, talk on camera for a little bit, or just send your input. We're very open to that, and we highly encourage it. So again, Monday, March 20th for State of the City, put it on your calendars. Of course, you're going to hear a lot more about some of the previews of it coming forth in the months ahead. So Mark, we're looking forward to State of the City. Something that we really never look forward to, and we had to deal with last week, was ice. Lots and lots of ice, and we want to give a little bit of an update on that.
This is very unusual for us. We're used to the nice powdery snow. The ice is been a real challenge, and I know we've gotten some calls, people concerned about that. We salted every street in the city, but when it freezes and ice is over again, that creates problems. And appreciate everybody's patience with that. We've been understanding, certainly know that people can't be out there de-icing 24 hours a day, nor can we. We've got 29 snowplow trucks that are out there on a regular basis, and we're using a lot of salt. So, our salt shed was absolutely filled at the beginning of the season, and it's not so full anymore, but we're making good use of it, and we're encouraging people to, if you have a chance, if you can make sure your storm outlet near your house is open and flowing. That's great, because when it goes below freezing at night, it's going to freeze up again. But once it unfreezes, it'll be okay. So that freeze and thaw cycle is very frustrating. I understand it, but if you can do something like that, that would be really helpful.
Yes, very, very helpful. And we got to give a thank you to the city staff who were working around the clock, de-icing to the roads, trying to make it safe for our drivers as well. It's a lot to keep up with.
It is. The main streets are looking really good, but I know some of the residential areas are a little tougher. We're hoping that Mother Nature can do a little bit of that work, so please bear with us. If it looks really bad, you're certainly welcome to call the street department, and they'll try to get out there and see if there's something more they can do.
And one other reminder is make sure you're salting your sidewalks, shoveling your sidewalks within 24 hours of that taking place, that weather storm or anything that it might be. One other reminder that we want to do before we hit question mark is the Christmas tree collection reminder. Next week is your last chance. I believe the week starts with January 20th, I want to say, and runs through the 27th. So make sure you get your Christmas trees out there, January 23rd, excuse me, and picked up the same day as your regular scheduled garbage collection day. Make sure it's not covered in snow or in our case, maybe ice. And be aware that anything artificial, anything that's not, was a live tree should not be placed out for collection. Put those in your garbage bin. So now it's that time of the show, Mark, one of our favorite times, and that's when viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything that they want about things that are happening right here in Oshkosh. So we're going to go ahead and hit the question mark segment. Let's see the question this week. All right, Mark, question this week is, when will the bike lanes be completed or connected?
Well, that's a little bit of a vague question, so we'll try to deal with it. I love the questions, and I'll try to answer them best I can. Whenever we reconstruct a street, we take a look at the possibility of bike lanes. So as we're doing reconstructs, we'll take a look at those things. I encourage people, follow the Bike and Pedestrian Committee because they're always talking about how they can implement these things. Last year, North Main Street was done, so that was connected. Irving Street, we repainted, so we put bike lanes in there. So those are the types of things that we do. So please follow the Bike and Ped Committee. We have a big Bike and Ped plan. Some of them involve just sharrows or bike lanes. Others involve some more construction, such as when we're doing the Riverwalk or something like that.
Right.
So the Riverwalk we're going to be doing west of Oregon in 2017, but follow the Bike and Ped Committee and you'll get lots of information about where you can find bike lanes next. I guess what's really cool is people are asking now. In the past, they didn't even think anything of it. Now we're getting these questions, and that's wonderful.
Yes, we're very happy with the progress that we've made with the bike community here in Oshkosh. So great question. If you have a question for Mark, go ahead and send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh. You can email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us or send it to us on Facebook if you just search for Oshkosh Media, post it on our wall. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, January 24th, 2017. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report. Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now we're going to go ahead and hit the City Council meeting agenda, go through some of the hot topics on that agenda this time for January 24th, 2017. So first item we want to hit is a presentation taking place at the very beginning of the meeting, and that is from Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation. So Mark, go ahead and tell us what that's going to be about.
Well, I'm not going to tell you everything. Jason White with Greater Oshkosh Economic Development is going to be talking about all the different programs that they're working on. They're doing a lot with the Bucks D-League thing, but they do a lot more than that. And I think Jason wants to say we're more than just helping the local group of the Bucks program, doing a lot of stuff with our industrial parks, doing a lot of visitation, servicing businesses that have genuine needs. Workforce is a big issue, but there are a lot of other things. So Jason will just be giving a little insight into what he's accomplished in the past year and what he's looking for 2017.
Yes, they're very busy over there, so we're looking forward to getting the update for the year 2017. Next item under consent agenda, Mark, is Resolution 17-27, and this is an agreement for water filtration plant Clear Wells, the replacement of the final design. So what exactly is a water filtration plant Clear Well? That's my first question.
The Clear Well is actually the largest single water storage facility we have in the city. It's right at the water filtration plant, so people don't see it. It's behind the fence, behind the walls. You'll never see it, but you need to have storage on site because we have a lot of filters that have to be cleaned out, and it's called backwashing. So we take very clean water and wash it through the filters to clean it out again. Well, you need water from that has been just treated. So we have a very large storage facility. I believe it's 2 million gallons, and people don't see it, but it's a huge part of our storage system. That Clear Well is very outdated. It doesn't meet DNR standards. It's below the lake level, and the DNR is a little concerned about that. There's actually a regulation against that. So we need to replace our Clear Well. This is only the design, $932,000. The project itself will be about $10 million. But this Clear Well is very old. It's past its useful life. I think it was built in the 1930s. So it's time to re-up it, and so this is the process to get started.
Wonderful. And the next item we want to talk about is, we'll just hit it really briefly, and it's Migratory Bird Day. And this is approving the renewing of the Bird City, Wisconsin designation. This is kind of an interesting little item here.
We're very proud that we're considered a bird city, just like we are a tree city, but it's just recognizing that we know about the flight paths of migratory birds, the positive impact they have on our environment, and Bird City, Wisconsin is just a way to say we really care about this and want to encourage the public to participate. And these are from some of our prior Bird City Bird Fest days.
Yes,
So,
and I got to tell people to tune into Live TV. We're going to have them on Oshkosh today, and you'll hear all about it.
so mark your calendar for May 6th, and we're going to have this event again.
Wonderful. Under new resolutions, Mark, we want to talk about the approval of plan development for development of a mixed-use arena event complex located at 1212 South Main Street. And this is all over the news right now. I hope a lot of people are excited about it. Give us the update on what this is.
Well, you said the magic word, arena. There's been no announcement from the Bucks. I know that the local group is talking to the Bucks, but that's really all I really know or can say. But the group recognizes that if they're going to be successful, they need to move forward with it. So they have submitted a full application with or without any approval from the Bucks. They've got to get moving on getting all the necessary approvals. So part of it is showing it to the neighbors and letting them see that. So we had a great meeting a week and a half ago, where we presented this information. I think the public was very well received to it. They had a meeting before the Plan Commission. A lot of the questions had been answered. The plan commissioners, a lot of plan commissioners were attending the meeting at which the plans were shown to everybody. A lot of good feedback, concerns, legitimate concerns, but I think the group addressed them. And this is on the council's agenda now, but this is just for the building project. This isn't the announcement. If we get it, we'll proceed with it. If we don't get it, I guess the developers have to decide what they're going to do with this project or not. But if they want to break ground on the time schedule that they think they needed to get approvals from the city. So this is where they're at. But look at what South Park and Main Street will look like. This is a great addition.
Amazing.
We're going to be very pleased and proud of something like this if we can snag the Bucks D-League team here.
And I made a comment before taping. I noticed the big green roof, and that might change too. But if we're looking forward to the Bucks, we might as well make it look like the Bucks are going to be there, right?
Absolutely, we're going to welcome them with open arms.
Definitely. Next item we want to talk about, Mark, right after that, Resolution 17-46, and that's approval of a memorandum of understanding for the Community Image Collaborative campaign. And what exactly does this involve? It's actually kind of a marketing campaign.
You may recall that Mayor Cummings was talking about marketing our quality of life, showing off the positives, and he started a group that eventually the Community Foundation agreed to take the role of doing fundraising. And so they've renamed it Community Image Collaborative Campaign, but it is a marketing campaign. The group has identified a firm to help just highlight all the great things in our community, encouraging people to consider living in Oshkosh. We're going to be doing a lot of recruiting amongst a lot of businesses, and we want them to we want their employees to consider moving to Oshkosh, making this not just their place of work, but their place of home and place of play and place to raise families. That's what this is about. They're asking for a city commitment of $20,000 for 3 years, but they're going to be collecting, I believe, close to $1 million community-wide. So our contribution is very minor, but they're asking it from other institutions as well, and getting a lot of private community support for this. So we're happy to move this forward.
Mm-hmm. It's an exciting update, and it's such an important topic as quality of life, and it affects so many different aspects of the city. So we're glad to see that on the agenda. Right after that item is approval of charges for extraordinary services for special events. And this is a little bit in the news too. People are talking about it. Maybe you can give us an idea of what this is all about.
We've started this discussion as we were talking about Sawdust Days in terms of the costs associated with that. But it's more than just Sawdust Days. It's the cumulative effect that we've experienced with our costs, because we're constantly out there providing services for special events. And we want to do that because we want people to feel very comfortable when they come to our city for these special events. But this has been very taxing on our police and fire departments, for example. A lot of overtime, which is then replaced by people taking vacation because they're supposed to be taking this time off, but they ends up being overtime because nobody can take time off because they're working one event after another. During the summer, some of our police officers get virtually no vacation whatsoever. So it's become very costly, and we're trying to provide some relief for that. And part of it is getting some extra charges, covering overhead charges that we didn't before, so that we can cover the extra costs we're going to incur to hire some more police officers to provide some general relief throughout the organization. So we're coming to council saying we need to look at an overhead fee, and for charges that are associated with, say, a lot of background time that our staff spends. We spend a lot of time working with event organizers, and we haven't charged for any of those things. We haven't charged for any community service officers. They're not paid a lot, but we're completely eating those costs, and we can no longer eat those costs if they're directly supporting an event. So we're revamping the cost structure and making some recommendations to council.
Right, so this will kind of become a part of applying for an event, a special event request, and it kind of depends on the event too, on how much services are needed. But a lot of people are asking, we're Event City, is this going to affect our defending of that name?
I don't think it will. In fact, I think we have a responsibility. When we do promote ourselves as Event City, we're saying that we're going to give everybody a great experience. And that also includes making sure that health and safety is considered. And you hear about things at different events where things go bad. We want to make sure that that never happens here. And the best way to make sure that happens is make sure we have good and safe facilities. And I think for the most part, the public will understand that. A lot of the smaller organizations, it's going to be a little tougher because we haven't charged them much, if anything, and it's going to add a few $100s to even those smaller events, and that's going to hit them a little bit. But we hope they understand that it's all in the interest of protecting the public.
Great. Well, we look forward to more discussion on this and a little more details during the council meeting. Last item we want to make sure we have time for, Mark, is item number 31, and that's the 2017 lead service line replacement pilot program. This is regarding a grant that we received at the end of last year, correct?
Yeah, technically it's called a forgiven loan program, but it's essentially a grant. Okay. But it's about replacing lead service lines, and that's from your property line into your house. And so our staff has been looking at different ways to address this issue, and essentially we're going to be recommending to council that that we use these funds to offset the cost of replacing these lead services when we come upon them during street reconstruction. So we're going to be doing Bayshore and New York Avenue this coming year. What we're identifying is if we can identify where there are lead services, then we will fund half the cost. But we are going to have to require people to do this because what we're finding through all this stuff with Flint, Michigan and that is we cannot just replace our laterals, which go from the public main to the property line. We need to go all the way into the house, and the only way to do that is to mandate it, but we'll help the cost with this grant. We'll partially fund some of those improvements.
Yes, and so like you said, this will be starting with the new street programs that we're planning in 2017, and you'll get a lot more information. There's some information on the city website as well if people want to know a little bit more about how those lead services work, because it can be a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a very complex subject, but we certainly want to make sure that this is where we have an opportunity to make sure that public health and safety is concerned. And I think I've used that a lot today, but that is one of our essential functions, and so it's important that we do these things. And looking out for lead lines is one of them.
Definitely. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of City Manager's Report. We are out of time. Mark, as always, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.
Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, January 24th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff and you'd like it answered on the next program, you can send it to us on Twitter, Facebook, or email, and we will answer it on one of the future episodes of CMR. So as always, thank you so much for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.